Welcome back to CMT's Top 20 Countdown. I'm Lance, now hanging out with the man of the hour, Mr. Vince Vaughn.
How are you? Good to be with you.
Good to see you, man. Thanks for talking with us.
Good to be with you.
So you've got this Vince Vaughn's Wild West comedy show.
Yes.
The title itself makes you go,
I kind of thought, God, I got to try to break the record for the longest name of a movie in history. So I just kept kind of trying to pile words on it. Yeah.
Well, instantly, though, I mean, you've done, obviously, fantastic comedies, but you're thinking comedy show, stand-up comedy, Vince Vaughn. How did all this come together?
Yeah, well, for me, I started, a friend of mine was a stand-up comic. I had done live improv before, performing live, doing improvisation, but only for about 3 months. And then I moved to Los Angeles and from Illinois, and then I was more so just pursuing a traditional acting career, but I had that as a background. But I never watched stand-up a lot, meaning if there was a great stand-up, and there's been some, I would like that, but I wasn't a guy who would just go see stand-up.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine started doing stand-up comedy, so I would go watch him. Kind of have to. Your friend's like, you want to come see me tonight? It's like, God, he got me on the phone. Okay, I guess I'll come down.
Yeah.
And then from seeing him and some of his friends, there was some of them that I really enjoyed. And what I liked about it was they would tell stories about personal experiences, and it would turn out that these were really true stories that they went through. And so there was kind of a connection to a genuineness, and what I liked about it wasn't like at someone's expense. Like, no one likes to go to a comedy show. You got like some guy on stage who's ran out of material, so he just starts picking on what you wear. Right. You're like, why'd I leave home for this guy?
And why'd I wear this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why'd I wear the bright shirt? Guess me and you aren't making out later. Should I be here every week? How does this work? Do I get a cut of what you're giving me? Yeah. What I liked about these guys were they were kind of making fun of themselves, and it was, you know, kind of relatable to stuff that they were talking about. And you come to find out that it's true stories, and some of it kind of painful and hard stuff, but they, you know, they find a way to laugh. Yeah. So I like that, and I have a friend in New Orleans, so I brought, this before any of the hurricane stuff happened, but the first show I ever did was down there, and I did kind of as a fundraiser, and then I did another show for the Army Emergency Relief Fund, the charity we did in Chicago, and I just started doing them as kind of charity stuff where I would have the comics come out, these 4 stand-ups, and then I would improvise with the audience or do sketch scenes, and I'd have different friends come and perform, and we would do improvisational scenes or written sketch scenes.
I'm going to have Justin do Vince's part. Seriously? Yeah, I think you're going to do it, and you're going to show Vince that anybody, Vince is like a wind-up monkey with the cymbals. It just keeps banging on together, banging on.
And so you'd have a couple different sketch acts as well as the stand-ups, and sometimes I do karaoke with the audience, and we, you know, coming from an improvisational background, there became kind of this energy where you weren't sure what was going to happen, but it became like a great party. Everyone had fun. Yeah. So then I started thinking, I thought, well, man, this would be a fun thing to take and to go across country with. Yeah. Growing up in the Midwest, it seems like the coast kind of sucked up a lot of shows, and you kind of got to go to the, you know, New York or LA, it seemed like, to see these shows. So I, you know, wanted to bring a show to people's backyards. So we left LA and went all through the South and then all through the Midwest and ended in Chicago. So we wanted to play, we're lucky enough to play the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville.
Played Ryman in Nashville,
which was a big deal for me.
So how were you received there? I mean, you see it in the movie, but from your...
The show was phenomenal. I mean, they're great fans. And for me, you know, my grandfather was a dairy farmer from Brewster, Ohio. My dad was the first one off the farm, so I grew up with country music. And I think, similar with the comics, I think one of the things that I always responded to was the same kind of storytelling and you know, songs about everyday experiences and a vulnerability and authenticness to it. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I saw Johnny Cash play. I used to go down, before I did swingers or anything, and then I'd go down to Luckenbach and see for the 4th of July, he'd do the Geese and Slaw Hillbillies and that, and I was fortunate enough to go see Waylon play a bunch of times, and he came and visited me one time. I was doing I did a guest spot on Sex and the City, and he came by to come see me when I was doing a guest spot on that. I remember he said to me, he was like, I was like, God, Waylon's coming to visit me. I was kind of excited, you know. And then it was like I had to do like this scene with Sarah Jessica. It was like this whole like kind of backdrop of like some kind of thing, and I was worried that he'd be bored out of his mind. Like he didn't want to come sit on some set of this thing. It's Waylon. So it was all these girls, and he was with Jesse, and I went over to him. I said, "You doing okay? Is everything okay?" He goes, "You got yourself quite a barbecue here," because there were so many girls running around the place. So I thought, oh God, maybe he's okay.
Yeah, I think he's doing all right.
I think he's having fun.
He's proud of you. Country music is very prevalent in this film. I mean, was that something initially you said, okay, we're going to do these 30 dates, you know, 30 cities, 30 shows, and throughout it, did you always know that you were going to have a lot of country music?
Those are songs that I love, and a lot of it's older, more traditional kind of country songs that's throughout, and some Dwight stuff in it as well. And I felt that with these comics, you really laugh because the movie's really funny, and the stuff that they talk about's really hilarious, and you can relate to it. You know, whether it's like learning how to, Cat says, like, all I learned fixing a car was how to hold a flashlight, get yelled at by my dad.
Which, yes,
like,
Dad, that's what I relate to.
Everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm not mechanically bright, and I'm on eggshells. What a great afternoon. Good father-son time. So, like, everyone can relate to that. And then as you meet their parents, which you do in the film, you realize these are true stories.
Yeah.
That this really did happen. And I think there's something very American, I think, that you can relate to. Like, I know that guy. Or I had that, you know, argument with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I think the music is that as well. So there's an authenticity and a genuineness to the music. So I was kind of making a correlation in the film between the stories that they talk about in a comedy way and what country music has always been.
No, there's a lot of those moments in the film. It's very, very funny. A lot of poignant moments, too, as well. So you need to go check it out February 8th, Vince Vaughn's Wild West Comedy Show. Thank you so much. I think we have a special guest coming up here in a second.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, let's hang out. Guys, we'll be right back. We got more Top 20 after this.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back to CMT's Top 20 Countdown, coming to you from Buck Owens Crystal Palace. Obviously hanging out with Vince Vaughn, who we've been talking to. We got this guy right here, Mr. Dwight Yoakam. Hello, sir.
Hey, man.
How are you? Good to see you.
How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming way out west to see us.
So you are obviously featured in the movie. We've talked about that. But tell me how your friendship...
Well, I interlope in the movie. That would be the feature.
I was always a big fan of Dwight's music. I used to go see him play.
In the film, we were talking about Buck being in the film. You get something. You get a present from Buck, right? What'd you get?
The moment that he said, "Oh, and I got you something," we came in here to have dinner with him, and you know, he was the kind of guy to ask you a lot more questions and be interested in you. And then, you know, after talking, he's like, "I got you a gift." And when he opened it up and showed it to me, I didn't even know what to say. I mean, it was beyond generous.
Which is in the film.
Yeah. Well, that's me showing Dwight later.
Yeah.
That's not actually the moment when Buck gives it to me. Because when I came over,
you
I
see
didn't even
Buck
bring
in the
cameras.
hallway, I think.
You see Buck here at the Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And he gave it to you right after that.
Yeah, I was just like, what do you say when you get something that's nice? And sadly, I don't play a lick of the guitar. So I was like, as I said, so I gave it an AK-47 to Mormon. I was like, this thing is, you know, way too fast for me. But it was like, and he gave a nice plaque on it. And it really was just a thought behind it, that he would think of that, and that he knew I was coming, and that he went and had that made and put a plaque on it. You're just complete. What do you say to that?
Yeah.
But it meant a great deal again to Buck that Vince would come and bring the comedy tour back in. Buck was just, you know, thrilled that he'd come back, and I performed that New Year's Eve after they did the comedy tour.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it.
All right, check him out, Vince Vaughn's Wild West Comedy Show, February 8th. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this edition of the Top 20 Countdown, coming to you from Buck Owens Crystal Palace here in Bakersfield, California. If you're ever in the area, you have to come by because this place is full of history. I want to thank the comics that I talked to, very funny gentlemen. I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of them in the future. And I especially want to thank Mr. Vince Vaughn and Dwight Yoakam. So make sure you check out Vince Vaughn's Wild West Comedy Show when it hits theaters February 8th. Very, very funny movie. Gets the Lance Smith seal of approval. Anyway, I am Lance Smith, and until next week, have a great weekend.